Hello everyone. My name again is Abdul-Salam, and as usual, thanks a lot for agreeing to participate in this experiment. I'm a data scientist and an economist, and in this third experiment, as usual, we begin by getting to understand our right. So first of all, just understand that within this experiment, you do reserve the right to say, "Hey, I'm not interested in this experiment anymore," and you can leave us anytime. In terms of the description of this experiment, this is going to be a 30 minutes experiment or less for that matter. And there are no risks to it. In terms of the cost, there are no costs to it. All your internet charges will be taken care of. In addition to that, all the points that you tend to accumulate in this experiment will be returned back to you in a form of a cash. So to improve the amount of cash that you receive or the payment that you receive, just make sure your decision-making process is pretty much accurate, just so you can get more of these points, and that will be the cash payment to be given to you by the experiment coordinators. As I mentioned earlier, there is full confidentiality. There's not going to be any data leakage, nothing of the sort, and you have the right to say no. Um, Also, just so you understand the nature of the setup, just make it a point to watch the description of the video, which is attached here. You can just click on it and it can take you to the description page if you've not yet watched it. Yeah, so if you agree to everything here, just click yes. If you want to watch the video or you've already watched it, you can just click yes and just go ahead and type your full name um, for you to proceed. And hopefully we'll use that one to assist with your payment of the cash as I promised earlier. So with this, we can go to the next page. Here, this is going to be the explanation page. And the whole idea here is you are going to play the role of a buyer. And by being a buyer, you are given the chance to buy two different type of goods based on the amount that has been given to you, which is the endowment. You can decide to buy product A or good A, or you can decide to buy product B or good B, or you can decide to, mix the combination of product A and product B. Everything is up to you. It's just basically your choice. And you can decide to um, purchase fractions of the goods, half a good, less than a unit, everything is allowed. It's just basically up to you in terms of the decision-making process. Now, the law of diminishing returns, as I explained earlier in the other experiment, basically says that the more you buy a particular good, your satisfaction from that good tends to reduce. And with that comes the reduction in the points. So just understand the diminishing returns. Hopefully, when I move to the next page, you tend to see how the diminishing returns tends to play out. In terms of the point deduction, this is going to be the new setup in this experiment where you might buy a particular product based on the description that has been given to you by the seller. However, it might be the case that the description wasn't accurate enough. In that case, you might lose some points. So you just imagine yourself being in real life. You've been promised that this particular shoe is like maybe the nicest shoe ever, but you try it out and it doesn't really fit the description. In that case, you tend to lose some satisfaction from that, and that will translate into you losing a point. So this is basically the point deduction. So just make sure you understand that the description given to you by the seller might not necessarily be accurate enough. And if that's the case, you might lose some points along the line. You can also decide to return the good or the product that you buy if it doesn't really match the description. And in that case, you might gain some points back, or you might not necessarily gain some points back. So it all depends on the setup that you might come across. So this is the whole idea. Again, you are going to be a buyer. You are being given some money to make your purchase decisions, and these purchase decisions will determine your points. However, the description of the product might not be accurate, which might lead to you losing some points. So keep an eye on that. So let's go on to the very first page. So as I mentioned earlier, in this case, my name is Farouk, so that's fine. In your case, your name will be different. So you'll be given a $40 lab currency. So these lab currencies are not necessarily the actual Canadian or the American dollar. No, this is just the lab currency to tell you that, hey, within this artificial setup, this is the money that you have for your decision-making process. And please make it a point to spend everything that has been given to you. In terms of the price, both goods do have the same price, or $10 each, and you can decide to buy fractions of each good. Now, this is the law of diminishing returns that we mentioned earlier. So if, for instance, you buy the very first product, which is like the very first time you try it out, it's gonna give you 100 points. But if you try it again for the second time, then it's you go like, hey, I've already tried this before, so I'm not really as excited as I used to be. And that would basically imply that your point wouldn't be as much compared to the very first time that you tried. And this will continue reducing as you buy more of a particular good. So it's up to you to make your decisions to see how best you can combine the points to get the higher cash equivalent of it. So here, as I mentioned earlier, there might be some point deduction if a particular seller does not really give you an accurate description of the good. In that case, you might lose some points due to the product quality, and you can decide to return that particular good. It's all up to you. So yeah, so this is all about it. This is the third experiment. You're acting as the buyer. Just make sure you make your decisions, make sure you accumulate your points, and the amount of points that you accumulate will be translated into the cash equivalent, and the lab coordinators or the experiment coordinators will send you the cash equivalent of whatever you might have accrued in this experiment. So all the best. And again, thank you very much for the continuous support. And I'm looking forward to your respective responses and the results, and we can discuss the finding further. Thanks a lot. All the best. Bye bye.